Father, I believe. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
You created heaven and earth. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
I believe in Jesus Christ. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
Everlasting Son of God. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe. Oh, yes, I believe in the Father and the Son.
A lovely day to you, our dear viewer, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of My Catholic Faith with Father Athan Tembler. Today we look at a very special topic that everyone would love to hear. This is Hope Does Not Disappoint. I'm your presenter, Josephine Sonda. Father, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. And greetings to our dear viewers.
Indeed. A lot has been happening, and many people complaining about the things that are happening, load shedding, high prices of commodities, and many people have lost hope. Now we want to look at this topic, Hope Does Not Disappoint. How would you kindly encourage us about this topic, Father?
First of all, we have to agree, all of us, that indeed it is true that hope does not disappoint. That's a very good beginning for us to build whatever we want to build.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is coming from a document that Pope Francis wrote for this year of hope. And in Latin it is called Spes non confundit. Yes, Spes non confundit. Hope does not disappoint. And that is taken from Romans chapter 5 verse 5, where St. Paul is encouraging the community of the Romans who at that time were going through persecutions, and so they had lost hope in God, had lost hope in life, because God seemed to be distant from them, like he had allowed them to go through whatever was happening. Persecutions, and persecutions of those years were different from what we have today. Today, if you be persecuted at the Moxan community, maybe it is just one person who has said something bad about you. Hey, why are you persecuting me here? And then, yes. But when you talk about persecution that time, it was real persecution. People being burnt alive, people being roasted alive until you die. They are roasting you. People being stoned to death. So it was that serious, and all because they believed in God, and they had the option to say, okay, we renounce our belief in God for us to live. But the early Christians didn't want to renounce their faith in God. They said, we are going to die for this. Just like the martyrs of Uganda.
Yes.
Did. They didn't want to renounce their faith in God, so they died for that. So that is the kind of persecution that they went through. And St. Paul comes with this message to them to say, hope does not disappoint. You can be passing through all these things, but nothing should ever separate you from the love of God. Whether death, peril, danger, hunger, thirst, whatever it is, persecution, in whatever form it comes, you should not allow anything to separate you from the love of God, because the love that God has for you is bigger than all these things that you are going through. So indeed, hope does not disappoint. Let us come back to our times today. When you look at what is happening in our country, in our world, in our continent, indeed there's a lot that you can look at and say, this is stealing hope away from the people. You have just talked about load shedding in our own country, and it's not even a political issue anymore. Maybe before, when it started, it was political, politics, but it's not even political anymore. It is something that is touching on the lives of the people, and everybody has the right to talk about it, because it is something that has affected us in a very serious manner, such that some people have even lost hope, even in God, because of load shedding. Talk of you mentioned the cost of living. That is another thing that has stolen hope away from the people. You can talk about effects of climate change. These are things. When you go out of our country, we begin to talk about wars. In Kondo, Russia, Ukraine, in South Sudan. These are things that are stealing hope away from the people. And the message of the church is still the same, just as St. Paul preached to those people that he preached to. Romans 5 verse 5, that regardless of what is happening, hope still does not disappoint. That when you hold on to your hope, despite the pain that you go through, if you don't allow yourself to let go of the hope, then victory is assured. That one day you're going to come out of whatever is going on. We're talking about this at national level or world level. Is it continental level, and so on and so forth. But we can also talk about these things at a personal level. At a personal level, you could be passing through something that does not give you reason to hope again. Maybe loss of employment. Yeah. Maybe loss of business. Business yawa. Into fiapia. Maybe property yapia. Your house has been burnt down. We see in the news that these things have been happening in the recent past when people have gone through such.
Exactly.
And they sit there and they look at themselves and say, but when all this is happening, where is God? Why does God allow such a thing to happen to a good person like this person, like me? Remember the story of Job.
Yes. Exactly.
Job was a very good person, very good man, a God-fearing person. But remember what happened to him? The devil came and took away everything from him, to such an extent that Job had to curse even the day that he was born. Cursed be that day when I saw the sun of this earth, because the pain was too much. And at that point, you can even say that he had lost hope in God. He had lost it. Like he was even ready to die himself. So going through an experience like that indeed can make you doubt even the presence of God in your life, or the presence of God anywhere, if God is ever present anywhere. It can lead you to think like that. Is this same God? Because of, but the message is still the same. The message is still space non-confunded. Hope does not disappoint. So despite what you go through, you could be going through the situation of Job. You could be going through the situation of St. Paul himself, because St. Paul also had his own share of persecution. But hope is the last thing to lose. Hold on to that hope. Remember what happened when Daniel was thrown into the den of lions. If Daniel was not a God-fearing person, if Daniel wanted to easily lose his hope, he would have lost it. But he knew that even if he is put right in the midst of those beasts, the lions, they would not touch him, because the God that he carried within himself was bigger than those lions. And indeed, we know the story. The lions didn't eat him, because what he carried was bigger than those lions. Now, what does that tell us? We who cannot, by the way, please don't go and stand before a lion and say, hey, God will protect me. No, you're not Daniel. You're not Daniel. There was only one Daniel in the world, and he died. Don't be the second Daniel, otherwise you'll become breakfast for some lion. Yeah. But what is the point of that story of Daniel, or the story of Job, or the story of St. Paul, the story of Jesus himself when he carried the cross?
Yes.
What is the whole point? The whole point is to help us believe of life there is still something that we can hold on to. And that thing is what is going to help us to emerge victorious, to come out of that pain and look back and say, yes, it was necessary for me to have gone through that. It was necessary for me to walk from office to office looking for employment. It was necessary for me to go
buy a bag of meal. How can this person hold on to hope or believe in what, Father, you are explaining?
We have to be real about suffering. We have to be real, or let me say, we have to be realistic. By the way, when we consider Christianity, let's talk about discipleship. What did Jesus say about discipleship? If you want to follow me, carry your own cross. Yes. Then follow me. What was Jesus, communicating in that? It is simply that Jesus was not promising us heaven on earth. simply because we are Christian. He did not say, come to me, follow me, and I'm going to give you milk. You'll be eating eggs every day. You'll be eating honey every day. Jesus did not make that promise. He said, carry your cross, then follow me. Meaning that it is possible for you to be a very good Christian, for you to be praying so hard every day, to be a committed member of the church, yet to be also carrying the cross. Yes. It is possible, because that is the nature of discipleship. That is what it means to be a Christian. Christianity is not about running away from the cross. It is actually about embracing the cross. Yes. That is where the mystery of Christianity is. Unfortunately, not many people want to hear that kind of a message. For many, for them to be a Christian, they want heaven on earth. They want their life to change. They want to enjoy life. But that is not what Christianity is. Yes. Christianity is about joy. Yes, there's joy in following Christ. We all experience that joy, the inner joy. But there's also the other side, carrying the cross. When you go out there and you listen to many preachers, not only our intercessors within our own circles, especially from the charismatic circles, but more so from preachers from outside the church, from other churches. There's so much about this, the famous gospel of prosperity. Yes. And this gospel of prosperity is that you cannot be a Christian and be suffering. When you are a Christian, you have to be enjoying life. You have to be happy, which is true, quite right. I mean, when you are a Christian, you deserve to be happy, not so. But why do we want to have a Christianity that is not attached to the cross? Why should we imagine a Christianity that runs away from the symbol of Christianity itself? Because Christianity was born from the cross, if we may even put it that way. It's like, you are a mother and you have given birth to this child, and this child just turns your back at you and say, okay, thank you very much, mother, for giving birth to me, but I have nothing to do with you. Actually, you are just a bother. You are bothering me. We do have children who have turned their backs on their parents. They forget that their being is dependent on the parents, like they were born from there. So Christianity was born from the cross. Why should we not talk about the cross when we become Christian? It is a wrong message to tell people that when you become Christian, then you deserve to be happy 100%, to be happy always. When you become a Christian, then you should afford a bag of meal. You should afford a decent housing, decent what, expensive school and expensive everything. That is not what Christianity is. Christianity is actually in the statement of Jesus when he's telling his disciples, carry your cross and follow me. So as we preach, especially those of us that have the opportunity to stand in front of the people, let us not give them a message that makes them to doubt God. See, when I come to church and you tell me that how I can't be a Christian and not be able to afford a bag of meal, but then I look at myself and I'm like, I can't even afford a head of cabbage. I can't buy cabbage. Ndio chikabeji chakuti chikapika kunyumba tikaje cabbage. I can't. What about a bag of minimum? And yet I'm a Christian. Therefore God does not exist. Therefore God does not care about me. So you realize that actually I'll feel discouraged even coming to church. Because why should I come to church when I can't afford to buy myself and my family a bag of minimum? Yes. But that's totally a wrong message. Ours as preachers is to give a word of hope to the people when they come. To tell them, yes, Christianity is actually two things. Christianity is joy, but also suffering. But then there is hope in both of these. You are happy today, tomorrow you might not be happy. But there is hope that the day that you are not happy, you could still experience happiness the day after. So be a Christian that lives with hope every day. You could be unemployed for a long time. It doesn't mean that for the rest of your life that is going to be the situation. God might just look upon you with his eyes of mercy and say, okay, now it is your time for you to be employed. And when your time comes to be employed, you will forget all those years. Exactly. So our duty as preachers is to give a word of hope, because indeed hope does not disappoint. When you read the document that the Pope of Happy Memories, Pope Francis, gave us.
Space non-confounded.
Space non-confounded, yes. He talks about hope in a very simple manner. He talks about the young people. He talks about care for the old. He talks about, and particularly, in fact, he labors on the care for the old people. He says, yes, quite all right, the elderly, let us call them the elderly, yes. The elderly in our communities and in our families are in the evening of their lives. Even they themselves know that they are not going to live for long, like they don't have so many years left to live. So they are like, kumatelo. But our nearness to them, will actually give them life, even when they know that they are in the evening of their life. It will help them to die even happily.
Exactly.
So how do we give hope to these? It is by being close to them, taking care of them. There are so many things that they're not able to do for themselves for the very fact that they have reached old age.
Exactly.
Now, if we create a gap, a distance between them and ourselves, what are we doing? We are killing them even before their time. And even when they die very sad. I don't think we want to do that to the elders of our families, to our grandparents and the great grandparents. We don't want to do that. So we have to be very close to them, to care for them. And in some places, when somebody becomes of a certain age, they begin to associate them witchcraft,
exactly.
Which is quite unfortunate. Many people want to associate witchcraft with the old people. Therefore kwati weta wakakota nse tukakota tefyo shikwali wikalira. Even them, there was a time when they were young. Everybody is young at some point, but at another point there's so many ngatemwa wafika kubukota. How do you feel somewhere muli wakote therefore? So many elderly people are living a very miserable life because of such accusations. They are living a very miserable life because they've been abandoned by those that are supposed to take care of them. So we can even say that there is no hope for them at all. They don't feel that sense of hope because those people that are supposed to surround them and give them hope are not there. So they are left all by themselves. Wasanga feba maeba na kulubantu bashikulu bale washa namaka yakwasha tabakwet. But because there's nothing that this person can do. The clothes are dirty and they need to have they want to have clean clothes, but there's no one to help out. So wasanga feba bale washa maybe na sopo ya kuwashira tapali tailondoloka. So we create a distance, and in the process what are we doing? We are actually killing them even before they die.
Yes. And
that is very unfortunate. So our community today has to be a community that is very embracing, a community that gives hope not only to the young ones, not only to the middle age, but more so those that are in the evenings of their lives. Francis is quite emphatic on this when he talks about care for the elderly. Hope does not disappoint, yes, but then this hope is not dropping from heaven. It's not a kind of hope that is just coming from nowhere. It is a hope that is coming from you, a hope that is coming from me, a hope that we are sharing in order to strengthen each other. I have my own problems. Yes. You also have your own problems. But then how can we live together? How can we interact in a way that I help you to carry your cross and you also help me to carry my cross? So what does this mean? It means that as Christians, we have a duty to share hope, to give hope to each other. When you go to see a patient to the hospital, QTH, to General Hospital, or Kusanfia General Hospital, and so on and so forth, when you go to see somebody who is in that state, you are not saying you are better yourself. You're not better than them. You are there to give them hope, to share your hope with them. Not to go and tell them or to deliver or to portray a message to say you are better. Since you are able to walk to the hospital, therefore you are better. You're not better because we don't own life. No one is a master of their own life. Some time back I came across a story where somebody had gone to the hospital to visit a terminally sick person, And on their way back, they were bashed. You know, this person on their way back, they were bashed. And that person, yes, they died on the spot. That person they went to see in the hospital, even he recovered and came back to life. What does that say? It says no one owns life. You can't say, I'm strong today, therefore I'm better than that person who is lying. No, today it is that person who is in that bed. Tomorrow, it might be myself. Maybe even worse, tomorrow I might die even before that person. So, ours is to give hope to each other in our moments of misery. When I come to see you as a patient, I'm there to give you hope, to help you, believe that indeed hope does not disappoint.
Yes, indeed, Father. I know this is the message, as you said. This was in the document of Pope Francis, first non-conformity, and the church is talking about this. I know, like the church in Lusaka, the Archdiocese of Lusaka, they have their festivals, and they have been asked to compose songs about this same theme.
Yeah.
Basically, what is that message that is supposed to be derived so that even an old person like the one you have talked about gets it and feels it? Why am I saying so? Because we are finding that, as I alluded to, you want to come to church. This is where you are finding that people are in some ways trying to remind you about what you are going through, and you are failing to find that hope from the church. So by coming up with this theme, how is the church trying to deliver this message and help those people who seem to be losing hope?
In January, I was privileged to go to Rome on a pilgrimage.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was a pilgrimage for communicators.
Yes.
So I was part of the team that went there from Zambia, and we had an audience with the Pope, Pope Francis. We had an audience with him, and in that audience, he said something that was striking. He said, "You are all communicators, but as communicators, what you carry on your shoulders is a story of hope that you can share with the world." Now, that story of hope can be told in different ways. Go and tell, because as communicators, you have to be creative. Be as creative as possible. Tell that story of hope in many different ways. And I realized that this was hinging on how we can implement the theme of hope where we are coming from, where we are, in our parishes, in our deaneries, in our dioceses, in our countries. How are we going to tell this story of hope that we carry on our shoulders? Like you have rightly put it, the singing festivals that are going on in Lusaka, the choirs have been asked to compose a song of hope. And that is one way of telling the story of hope. Because it's not everyone that is going to be able to listen to Father Arthur's homily about hope. But maybe they're going to listen about hope through a song that has been done by a choir. It's not only in Lusaka, even in other places, choirs have composed songs of hope. And these are positive attempts to tell the story of hope. We all carry a story within our hearts. Those who are composers, what they are composing is the story that they carry in themselves, a story of hope. And some of them are actually using their personal experiences in order to preach about hope to others through a song.
Yes.
And there are many, many other ways in which the church locally is implementing this theme of hope. Songs is just one of them. There are workshops going on. There are seminars going on of different groups. There are pilgrimages going on of different lay groups, different deaneries, going to the Marian shrine or to the shrines or to sacred places for prayer. So, coming from that meeting in Rome, where Pope Francis was saying, you carry the story of hope. Now, coming back home, and I sit here, I'm asking myself, what exactly have I done in my own personal capacity? Not even as Father Arthur, but just as a Christian, first of all, as a baptized Catholic. What exactly have I done in order to tell my story of hope to somebody? Everybody has a story to tell, because everybody has passed through something. No one can come here on TV and say, my life has been perfect. I've never passed through anything terrible. My life has been smooth. Inshuabufuyo. Niwaboza. Yes. Remember when you were young, there is no relish. You just make salt solution.
Salt not mensh.
Na mensh. Mwadi. Konko, what? You know, all those are stories that we can tell. Stories of hope. You never gave up, not so. We never gave up when we went through all that. Some people had to walk long distances to go to school. Long distances.
Yes.
Hey, 1 hour will end, and that has to be done maybe every day. All those are stories of hope that we can tell to others. Ambi niku school, you know, you are in university, you are sponsoring yourself. You are paying your own school fees. You are working in order to do that. You have to feed yourself. You have to leave some extra money to send back home to your brothers and sisters. Maybe the government, see, if you are at Onza, they give them, what do they call that? Is it meal allowance?
Meal allowance.
Yes, the government gives you that meal allowance. You look at that and say, but I've left my brothers and sisters back home. They don't have anything to eat. You send back home. Those are stories that we all have to tell to the world, to others. Those are the stories that we carry on our shoulders. And each one of us, by virtue of being a Christian, is a communicator of hope. You don't have to go to school and sit in a classroom to be taught about how to communicate hope. All you need is the will to share that story of hope, because hope does not disappoint.
Thank you so much, Father. I think as you are explaining, I'm looking at this word perseverance. Say, as much as we are passing through a lot of things, a lot of people have lost their jobs, coming to shedding, whereby they have stopped working and now they don't know what they are going to do. But one has to persevere, believing in God. Indeed, to say hope does not disappoint.
Perseverance is a very key word, actually. Perseverance. At the beginning, we talked about persecutions.
Yes.
The early Christians went through persecutions. What made them to reach the end and to be able to establish the Christian or Christendom or Christian kingdom that we have today is this word, perseverance. They never gave up. So no matter what you go through, no matter what you experience, giving up should not be part of your vocabulary.
Exactly.
Surrender should not be part of your vocabulary. Look at yourself and say, I have something within myself which is bigger and greater than what I'm going through.
Exactly.
And that in itself becomes your point of hope. That becomes your point of strength. You tell yourself, yes, my house has been burnt down, but I'm not giving up. I'll rise again. Yes, I've lost employment today, but I'm going to rise. This is just one of those phases. I'm going to come back and come back even stronger. So sometimes you need to encourage yourself. You know, don't wait for people to preach to you.
Yes.
Sometimes just preach to yourself. You can even stand before a mirror and say, and call your name, and then preach to yourself. Yes, exactly. Be passionate and preach passionately to yourself and tell yourself, yes, this is tough. This is going tough, but I'll come out even stronger. Because hope is the last thing to lose.
Father, thank you so much for that encouraging word. I know even my friend out there maybe was trying, maybe thinking, it's too hard, I just have to give up. With this message that Father has given, I believe that you have been encouraged and that you are going to persevere. You know why? Because hope does not disappoint. Well, this is where we end our today's episode program, and we invite you to join us again next week. Come and learn more so that we move together in this faith of our life. This has been My Catholic Faith, Josephine Sonda and Father Athan Tembla. Stay blessed.
Bye.
Mighty Father, I believe